how I found a suturing needle in my groin, in my abdomen, medically speaking. Let's start from the beginning. Who found it? Me. How I found the needle in my own body. So, I'm not sure, well, I'm pretty sure I know who left it in there. I mean, on their own Instagram page. The op they did on me was so revolutionary, so different, so new, that they have video and you can see the needle going in and out that video. And I'm pretty sure that's the needle that was left inside me because it was the last operation I had, and he had operated before that. So if he had left a needle before this op, he would have seen it when he redid this. Let's go back to the beginning. The wonderful life and times of Sis Thandi. So I was an innocent young lady. I had my baby, my first baby, and then I had my second baby, and then I realized that I had diastasis, which was splitting up your ab muscles, right? They come together. They might have a small little gap, maybe half a centimeter, but mine had split up to 2 centimeters after the babies, the first 2 babies. I did the exercises they suggest to do, to put the muscles together, and the gap did go. It was a 2.5 centimeter gap, 2.5 finger gap. And then you could feel it when you're doing your sit-ups. You can actually go in and feel the hole in between. It was yuck. But through this, the work of the workouts, that gap closed to a finger. So I didn't need any surgery. I was fine. Enter or exit the twins. Wow. As you will be able to see, they didn't exactly stay small. Some people can even have twin pregnancies that are hidden, but my children wanted to be seen. And in the process of them being seen and growing, they split my abs again. This time, the gap was, wow, it was scary, it was horrible. I could actually feel that there's 2 sides of my ab muscles, on each side, but far. I could fit in a hand between my ab muscles and there'd still be space. It was creepy. So now I had been told that can cause back pain. My back pain over the years had been increasing. So we figured it's the diverification, it's the diastasis recti that's causing it, because now if my muscles are not closed up and firm, then they're not supporting my back. I went to plastic surgeon number 1. I should have not gone to plastic surgeon number 1. I felt it. I walked into his rooms and the people there acted like I was a T-girl. They acted like I was an interloper and I don't belong there. They didn't say, oh, hi, welcome. Are you so-and-so for your appointment for 8? I got to the door and they asked, what can we do for you? You know that feeling? You know it as black people. It happened to my friend as well in the Eastern Cape. She went to go buy vegan cupcakes, I think. And when she went to the shop again, blonde person, well, I don't know if she was blonde, but you know what I mean when I say blonde. These ones were blonde, the admins of this doctor. And she went there to go buy vegan cupcakes. And the person acted like she's there to look for a job. I hate those stereotypes. Ask, yes, how can I help you? Have you come to the shop? It's just simple courtesy. Just treat us like we're not below you. Treat us like you're equals. So I actually texted my friend and I said, I don't like the vibe here. But then, this being me, I said, I want them to know, because for that surgery to bring back your ab muscles, they don't pay. Medical aid doesn't pay. You have to pay, even though it's not something you caused on your own and it is not good for you. That kind of gap is actually dangerous, and that kind of gap does cause extreme back pain, but medical aids don't pay. So I said, I'm going to show them, which was stupid of me, but I said, I'm going to show them that we black people can also have what the white people have. So I spoke to the surgeon. He was better, he was nice. And he told me, believe me, after this, your back pain problems will be solved. This was 2020. I'd waited 9 months to be sure that it wouldn't come back on its own. I did the exercises, no can do. And he said, all right, I promise you, When we have now, strengthened you so that your core muscles are together, they will be stable and they will hold up your spine, and your spine will not be unstable and trying to basically, he was saying that my spine is holding my body up and it's taking strain, whereas this should be acting as a corset and strengthening me, but it wasn't. So he said he will close me up and all will be good. I did go see another surgeon. He was a bit weird, so I didn't go to him. He said, this gap is huge. He felt it, and he said, you need mesh and to close it up because it's huge. What if it opens up again? But I didn't like him. There was just something off about him. And when he had said he would send me forms, he didn't send forms. He had said, so I didn't go with him. So I go to this surgeon number 1, and I wake up in excruciating pain. Wow, excruciating pain. And they made me get up out of the hospital bed, walk out, get into a car. After extreme abdominal surgery from here, it was open. It wasn't even like a small gap that opened maybe down here. It was all the way up to my rib cage. It had been all open. So now they've closed these ab muscles that have been open for over a year, because the twin pregnancy, obviously they open up then, and now they're trying to make me walk. Each step was torture. I mean, you can ask people who've had just C-sections. I'm one of them. Just that step is torture, because they do cut into your ab muscles. And so I walked. They made me get into a car. That was, how do you do that? What kind of surgeon does that? And then they took me to this house to recover. It wasn't a hospital. I didn't recover in their clinic. They didn't tell me that. It was a normal house with normal bed, normal blankets. I could not get comfortable. I couldn't turn. I couldn't move. It was the worst torture I'd ever gone through at that point. But after maybe by week 5, it was like the abs had split. Because what happens when your abs have split, then they're hanging open. Because they're hanging open, so they're like this, like when people still look pregnant after they have had their babies and they don't snap back, that could be the cause. So I still looked pregnant. And some lovely cashier at Woolies even had the nerve to say, why do you still look pregnant? Why haven't you tied your stomach? That kind of stuff. So I said to the surgeon, okay, you said when you sew me up, then I'll be corseted up and firm so that it can hold my back. So why is that not happening? Why has that not happened? Why have I bloated up? And he says to me, oh, it's because you've got IBS. I've got patients who've got irritable bowel syndrome. And I said to him, I've had irritable bowel syndrome diagnosed for at least 20 plus years. I have never looked pregnant since my diagnosis. I don't bloat like some people bloat. Why now? He didn't want to help me. My husband and I were wondering, okay, it didn't feel like it had split open, but why am I still looking pregnant? So I Googled, because my husband actually said, what if your stomach muscles have stretched? So yes, you closed the gap, but because your stomach muscles are still stretched, literally stretched, then therefore you will be like this, basically. That's what he was saying. Whereas if you're a normal person and your stomach muscles had, split up, then when they tie you up and sew your muscles back together, you are like that, right? But I didn't go like that. I only did that. I went like that. My muscles were probably in shock for 4 weeks, and then they were like that. So I did Google, and it turned out that, especially in Egyptian women and the Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, something up there, it was quite common for them to have muscles that stretch. And what is it? 3rd pregnancy onwards. So they found that sometimes the muscle itself, let's say this was my muscle before I was pregnant. First pregnancy, my muscle might stretch maybe 1 centimeter. Second pregnancy, maybe 3. But the 3rd pregnancy, that's when your muscles can now stretch like that. So we were saying, I sent this link. It was a research paper done by plastic surgeons, and they had fixed it. And I sent it to the surgeon and I said, could this, dear surgeon, not be the reason why I still look pregnant even though you have closed the gap? Surgeons are gods. How dare you question a god? He again doubled down and said, no, it's because you've got IBS. I've got another patient who's got digestive issues. She also bloated up. What you must do is lose 2 kilograms and then you'll be fine. I lost 5 kilograms. I was not fine. I still looked pregnant. I asked another surgeon and I sent the same research and I said, no, I actually wrote a complaint, because what is meant to happen is, if a plastic surgeon does not give you the results he promised, he is meant to fix you free of charge. You might have to pay theater costs, of course, but he is meant to fix you free of charge. He had told me that he will sew my muscles together again and I'll be normal. But I wasn't normal, not at all. And my back was still sore. Given we know it's AS, he shouldn't have made that promise anyway. But I was desperate. So there we were. Surgeon number 1 was not helping. Surgeon number 1 was not offering to even read the research. And so I turned to the board, the association, and I reported him and I said, okay, this surgeon is going against what he should have been doing. He doesn't want to listen to me. What am I meant to do? They said, okay, you speak to the ombudsman. And then the Afrikaner guy just blew me off, the chairman. He just stopped answering my emails. And I said to them, I don't mind even if the person has never done this kind of operation, because it's mostly common with people up there. Maybe I'm the first person it has happened to. But is there a surgeon who's willing to try? Now, in this particular specific paper, what they did was, with those stretch muscles, they cut them. They cut the muscle and then sewed it, so that then it's sewn together but also cut, so it's shorter, so it's not, the diameter is not the same. That's what they did. And I asked, I got no answer. I approached a different surgeon. He said, oh, I know that, definitely, yes, it's definitely possible. But what I do is I don't cut the muscle, because then you have less muscle and it might weaken you. What I do is I fold it. That's what he said, something like he folds it and then he shuts you up. But my surgeon should be the one to do that. He will not fix another surgeon's mistake or error. Back to square one. Now remember, if you had read my other, if you had listened to my medical gaslighting experience, I mentioned how a few neurosurgeons said that my breasts were large and that is why I've got breast pain, back pain, because of the weight. And now here I am. I'm going to find another plastic surgeon, and my breasts had grown even more, and they had grown, and they were my bra straps were now digging into my shoulder from the weight. I couldn't exercise anymore because of the weight. It was painful. And my skin over here on my chest, it had now, from the weight of the breasts, my skin was pulling off my breastbone kind of thing. So I thought, okay, let me find someone else who will do this breast reduction, my second one. I had one when I was 13, so I was not looking forward to it. I remember the healing. So there I was at 13, I was like a G cup, and I then had the up, and I was 34B when I had my operation. By the time now that I had grown again after this botched number 1 surgeon, I was a 36E cup. No, yes, a 36E, and it was not friendly to me at all. So I found a black surgeon. We'll call him surgeon number 2. I found the black surgeon and I told him, okay, listen here, I've got this issue. And he said, no way, you don't look like you had your diastasis fixed up. I told him, no, but I can feel that it's closed. He still sent me for an ultrasound, hoping to see that it's open. But it wasn't, it was closed. I sent his admin, now this is where she is the problem, all my information to pass it on to him. Because I've seen how when I directly speak to the doctor, they don't listen to me. So I passed all the information to her. I told her I gave her the research, the links. and I asked her to please ask him if he could consider that problem as being my problem. I woke up from the op, and wow, I'd never had such pain. I was on oxygen. I wasn't breathing properly. It was double, because now it was this and the stomach. So he said he went into my stomach, and he said my stomach muscles don't feel like muscle. He said they just feel like just floppy something. And the only way to have them at least kind of firm is to have mesh, surgical mesh. So I asked him, okay, so did you do that? And he said, no, he didn't do it because I hadn't signed consent. So all he did was to cut me open again. This is now, I'd been cut for my C-section. Cut by surgeon number 1, who didn't want to fix me. And then now I'm cut again, same place, by this surgeon number 2. So all he did was to re-sew the first person's sewing, which was excruciating. I was bent over, I was hobbling. It was actually worse than the first one, and I didn't know that that was possible. So that was surgery number 2. So he tells me, all right, don't worry. In 6 months' time, you can come back to me, and then I will do the mesh operation, and I will not charge you. So I said, cool. At least finally we're getting somewhere. And the thing is, obviously, if your stomach muscles are not muscular, he said to me, he doesn't know if it's if it's something I was born with, if it was genetic, hereditary, or if I was born with it, or if my twins tweaked something in my cells that changed how my muscle fibers were. But yeah, he said you need mesh, otherwise your spine is standing on its own. It's got no support. Fine. I wait. And then suddenly, around 3 months after the op, I see on a group that the surgeon is leaving the country. I'm thinking, okay, why don't you tell us patients? He's still meant to be doing follow-up appointments for my surgery. We're meant to be doing follow-up appointments, checking. He left me with 2 wounds that needed a wound nurse to take care of it. It was bad, really bad, terrible scarring so bad that when he was reported to carte blanche for other bad things he had done, one of the patients who I'd confided in, she mentioned me also to the carte blanche person, and that carte blanche person contacted me and asked for photos. And when I sent the photos, she said she will send them to one of the independent doctors. And that doctor said this was butchery. What surgeon number 2 did, the black guy, was total butchery. It was awful. And even the lady whose case was worse than mine, she said, oh my word, you look like you've been bitten by dogs, mauled. He did the breast reduction. It was terrible. I even wanted to share pictures, but my husband was scared on the carte blanche thing that, oh my word, now people are going to know what my wife's breasts look like. That was one of the questions that, can we show the pictures on carte blanche? The doctor lawyered up, and that never aired. But I felt vindicated in knowing that he is a bad, shoddy doctor. If another doctor can say this is awful, and the doctor, he was meant to be doing follow-up appointments, right? And I asked this doctor number 2, will you be seeing me, because I see online that you're leaving? And he said, no, I will do the 3-month appointment with you. And then he sent me to some other person. And this person was like, wow, the scarring that he's left you with, this is shoddy work. It's too late. It's too late. So he's gone. He leaves. So my 6 months for him to do the mesh was gone. He had gone, left the country. I found surgeon number 3. Surgeon number 3, also not cocky, he's a nice guy. And I told him the problem, and he said, okay, here's the plan. What we will do is pretend this is my muscle, right? More stretched. So he said, we will sew and overlap your muscles so that we shorten them by overlapping them and shortening them that way, instead of cutting them, cutting pieces off and then bring them together. And over here, we will also basically bring your muscle together like that. and then sew you up. So to make the circumference smaller. And he said, we will use strips of mesh to then hold you firm, because if it's stretchy, then it's not firm. It's like an elastic band, an old elastic band. So I said, no problem, doctor, let's go. Surgeon number 3 puts me to sleep. I wake up. The first thing I ask him, did you do the mesh? In my like zonked out state. Apparently I asked this 3 times, but at the time I was away. He said, yo, you've asked me this 3 times. No, we didn't do the mesh. I figured that if I just sew you, you're all good. And now I was angry. Number 1, the surgeon number 1 refused to fix me. Surgeon number 2 didn't even have the courtesy to tell me he's leaving as his patient, and he fobbed me off onto some other doctor who was very rude about his work that he did. And then surgeon number 3 doesn't do what he said he would do. What in the world? And this is my body. This is recovery. Every time I have the surgery, for 3 months, I'm not meant to do lifting heavy things, which meant my children. My children. And all I wanted was to stop looking pregnant. I just wanted to look normal. To stop having Woolworths cashiers at Table Bay telling me that I should be tying up my stomach and not looking pregnant. I just wanted to be normal. I'm remarkable. And when I did my breast reduction, some white women even asked me that, hey, why didn't you do, have a breast lift and you can look perky? But that's not, I didn't want plastic surgery for cosmetic reasons per se. It's like when you're a burn victim, you just want to look normal. I just wanted to be normal. And now they've let me down. Same thing happened. Time went on, and stretch. Despite having sewn the sides up, and making them smaller, making my muscles smaller, and even here, they stretched. And then I complained. I said, okay, this is ridiculous now, because I did sign. This time, I made sure I signed consent for mesh. We agreed you would do mesh, and now you didn't, and now look, I've suffered for nothing, and I paid for no reason. I'm back exactly where I was before. So he, after hemming and hawing and all, he eventually said, okay, you'll pay for theater and I'll do the op for free. Then he did do the mesh, and he's used strips of mesh all across. I've got mesh all across here. I'm still not normal, but when I'm dressed, I don't look pregnant, and that's all that matters to me. I don't know what happened. He also said it's like my muscles became just soft tissue. That's what he said. It's like it's just soft tissue. It's not the muscle fiber. It's not the fibers that the muscles have. So he, for his surgeries, used a suturing needle, closed me up. I watched the videos. I sent pictures. I love it. I love to see what's happening in my body. I sent pictures to my friend who loves that gory stuff. And that was that. But then as time went on, I started feeling a pain here in my groin, where the C-section and all the other cuts have been. But now my AS pain, ankylosing spondylitis pain, the back pain, was worse. And as some of you may know, I have lived with pain since I was a child, which then unfortunately skews my perception of pain, and it blunts me to the fact that it means something. Because all my pains have had no real solution, or they are incurable, or they are chronic, like IBS, So I didn't really pay attention to it. I paid enough attention to know, this is really hurting, and I'd even massage it and hope it would go away. And I'd be thinking, but what do I expect? I was cut 4 times within the space of a year in the same place. It's understandable that I will be hurting. I never complained to any doctor. I just left it. So now I'm seeing rheumatologists this year. This was all 2022 when the last surgery happened. I see rheumatologists, last surgery on my abdomen, and then I had elbow surgery. So I have this, I see the rheumatologist. She sends me for x-rays. Stop. I saw the rheumatologist number 1 in January. He sent me for an MRI in January. When I went for the MRI, the woman asked, no, it was a man. He didn't say anything. He was just like, have you ever had surgery? Da, 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 nothing. He didn't say anything. And then I went for a second MRI in April. I can't remember when. I had a second MRI. That woman, radiographer, radiologist, whatever you call them, she says to me, does your underwear have metal in it? And I told her, no, I know not to have metal. Like, guys, metal is dangerous. Even if it's in your body, those magnetic forces of the MRI machine are strong. So I knew, no, I shouldn't have metal. So I told her no. And she said, no, but the machine, that on the screen, it says that you've got metal. So I said to her, you can come and check my underwear. And she did. Of course, there was no metal. And then she just ignored it. And I thought, oh, well, maybe it's something on their side. So I had that MRI. So I've got 2 MRIs down here. The first one doesn't even, the radiographer himself, it was a man, he didn't even mention the metal. She mentions it, but then doesn't put it in her report. Yet she could see it. I didn't know what she was saying. Well, I thought maybe, I didn't know what she was seeing. And I just knew that I don't have metal in my underwear. So, yeah. Then I have my x-rays, which rheumatologist number 2 had sent me for, to see how bad the damage was on my SI joints. It was a specific kind of x-ray, which I've forgotten the name of. So I go to the x-ray, and this Zulu lady, she asks, do you have metal in your underwear? So I tell her, no. And then I told her, someone also asked me this when I had my MRI. And she says, that's strange. And then I asked her this time, you say metal, what does it look like? And she said, well, it's curved, and it's over here. So I thought, that is weird, hey? That is strange. And then I did the x-ray, and afterwards I texted my friend and I said to her, I wonder if the gynae who took out my tumor, if he maybe left surgical clips, because my ovary was on my left side, and the fallopian tube and ovary that were removed were on my left side, and that's where the tumor was, and that's where the needle was. So, well, we didn't know it was a needle. We just thought it was something. She said curved and metallic. So I pictured like some kind of small surgical clip. And I was telling my friend, I wish he could have told me that he's leaving something in me, so I know that I've got metal in me. If you close me up with metal, let me know. And then she tells me, yeah, that stuff is scary. She's got a friend of her mother's who was left with surgical implements inside her by mistake, and it killed her, and the family wanted to sue. And then we also just forgot about it. Until 10 days after this x-ray, I go onto the Morton website to look at my results. And the report, this time is the first time, the report states, but I didn't look at the report. I looked at the picture. And I was like, this picture, this looks like a suturing needle. This looks like a needle. It's not some little clip. It's a whole, there's nothing else this can be but a needle that was left inside me. And the report, indeed, at the bottom it said something like, and also noted something that has the appearance of a metallic suturing needle in left hemipelvis. My rheumatologist I assume she got my results. She never looked at them. She never looked at them. She didn't mention the needle. I found my own needle because I looked at my images. And then when I went back into my MRI images, it was there. It was there, but no one said a word. Unbelievable. So I went to find a surgeon, and yeah, we removed the needle. The surgeon, who I believe left the needle in me, he said they will need an x-ray to check, like before up, while I'm having it up, where exactly it is in my body while they're operating. So they cut in the right place to take it out. And his surgery didn't have that. So I found a general surgeon who removed the needle. And that, my friends, is how I found a needle inside my own body. A surgical or suturing needle. Unbelievable. And no, I didn't sue anybody.